get right to it. We teed it up Monday, bro, about Ed Reese firing on the podcast, and I know some people like personally that we know, all three of us know personally had a lot of stuff to say. I've been reading a lot of things from very respected columnists. Michael Herrick being one of them. I'll get to him in a moment. But I watched the Roland Martin interview, and I'm sure that you two other brothers watched as well. And let me tell you, you probably already noticed it was painful to watch for a lot of reasons, right? And I'll just say this, man. To me, and I'll throw it the Booker's way. To me, I think it's plenty of blame to go around. I'm not absolving Ed Reed. I'm not absolving BCU. I'm not. I just think it's to this point where we're at now. It's a total crapshoot. And you know, I thought that both sides could have done things differently. But before I blow it even further, I'm gonna give it to the historian in the house. That's Booker. So Booker, give me your thoughts on it, because I know you've been wanting to share your thoughts for a long time on this. So the floor is yours, sir.
I think, you know, when I step back, I am rightly defensive of Bethune-Cookman University, the legacy of that institution. Right. And I think a lot of the comments that have come out have not respected that, right? So that's my first priority, to make sure that that remains intact and that is not compromised here, what the legacy of Bethune-Cookman University is. Now, some people might argue, well, it's no different than what the administrative or what the board culture is, and that can't be, that's a lie. I'm just going to flat out say it. Just a lie that is not the same thing, because the culture that Bethune-Cookman University has, that is a culture of excellence, that is a culture that wants to be inclusive and wants to provide educational access to people who otherwise may not have gotten it. That is bigger than anything that one person or one board or whatever could do, and nothing could erase what Bethune-Cookman University and those two separate institutions before they merged did for people in Florida and across the United States and across the world, right?
Right.
So I want to practice that. The second thing I want to say is, from a more present context and what's going on, because everybody doesn't look at history or care about history the way that I do, right? What I see is just an opportunity for Bethune-Cookman University to make a smart business move. And what I see, you know, that could potentially happen is that if we're not careful, we may force Bethune-Cookman University to make a decision that is not going to be one that students like. Because if we're just talking about a financial issue or mismanagement of funds or something where the finances aren't where they need to be, then it's very possible that Bethune-Cookman University can't afford to be operating its football program. And if that comes up, then that's not how you want to force an administrator, because they make decisions based on money. At the end of the day, it's going to be a money-based decision that makes sense. They may consider the students as a factor, and they should always consider the students as a factor. But the reality is that students aren't the only stakeholder at that institution. They have to pay employees, meaning staff members, faculty members, and they each have a voice in the way that, you know, decisions are made. Alumni are decision makers and a factor. And so everybody's going to come at it from a subtly different angle about how they want things to happen. And the board is there, right, which is a completely separate entity from the administration that has an agenda that it wants to happen, and it won't ever come out and say it, but it does, because it hires that president, right, to make the decisions that they want him to make, and if he doesn't do it, or she or whoever will be in their role, then they have the power to remove that person from their job or reprimand them in whatever way that they can do that, right? And so what we see is this president, who is the middleman between non-board members and board members at Bethune Cookman University in their community, being forced to make a tough decision. And it's going to come. And it's just a matter of time, because that's all that's left in this situation. It's not going to be a situation where everybody's about to be happy. You're going to make a tough decision, and it's just a matter of time before it comes out. So that's how I think about it. And that has nothing to do with Air Reed, because they've already made their decision about what they're going to do with him. And that's not hiring.
Is it? That's it. Right. That's it. They can have they being the students, could have all the protests, all they want. I mean, they ain't bringing that man back in just to appease the students. It is what it is, right? It just, they got to move forward. Now, Dwayne, it's interesting that, I mean, it should not come down to this again, but let me just get your thoughts before I go off on this tangent that we can't get back.
Okay, no, it's going to be a short thought, especially in response to, now, Booker, do you mind if I call you Book occasionally? Because, like I said before, I'm real sensitive about names, and I don't want to call anyone a name that they don't want. So is cool, Book occasionally cool? All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So to kind of piggyback on what Book just said, real briefly, it's not just the fact that it's a president making this decision, it's an interim president making this decision. So, so if we don't even know what interim president Lawrence Drake's longevity is going to look like after making this decision. Well, after the decision's already been made, but it's not just his decision alone. It was also the decision, let's be realistic, of Reggie Diaz along with the board of trustees. But yes, as you said, he is most definitely the centerpiece that has been around all of this stuff that's been going on.